Alright guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video we're going to talk a little bit about jig fishing, especially flipping and pitching a jig in early spring. Where we're from, early spring is generally late February through early April. Our water here in our area on the shallow water lakes that I like to flip and pitch are is pretty heavily stained, muddy to heavily stained. And I'm going to go over three basic colors that I like and the trailers that I like to use with them. We will show you a fish catch here so you do know that this does work. The first jig I'm going to go through, and these are in no particular order, is this is a black, brown, and chartreuse. As you can see here, it's got a black chunk on it. Okay, so I'm going to use this earlier in the morning when the water, is kind of low light conditions, and it's pretty heavily stained and a little bit muddy like that. Later in the day, a lot of times our sun will pop out, and that gives the water a little bit more transparency and a little bit you can see through. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go to, this is a full-size jig here too. Notice it has a pumpkin type trailer on it. And a lot of times, I carry my markers with me. I carry, a couple markers with me. This is a chartreuse one. This is an orange one. As you can see, this here has the chartreuse in the jig, which I like really well in the early spring. I'll tip the tails a little bit or just put a line down them or something like that to give it a little bit of color to it. So that's a jig that I like to fishing in that type of water. And generally early in the morning I want to use the darkers. Now you need to let the fish tell you what color you want. All these colors will work in any of this stained and to muddy water. The next one I throw is a black, brown, and orange. You can see here, this here happens to have a big brown chunk on it. There again, like fishing this, early in the morning, late in the evening, or in low light conditions, if we got heavily rain or fog or things like that. Later in the day, a lot of times, they'll kind of get off that a little bit, and I'll go to a one with a pumpkin style trailer on it. There again, my markers come into play. A lot of times I will go ahead and color a little bit on the legs of the trailer. The next one is just the old staple that everybody fishes. Most people just fish a black and blue. I happen to fish a black, blue, and purple. You can see it's got a full size, black chunk with a little bit of blue flake in it. Don't know whether the blue flake makes any difference or not. It doesn't really matter. It's just how I buy these. So that's when we're still low light conditions, early in the morning, or if we've got heavily overcast days. This one here is a black, blue, and purple also. And notice I got the blue chunk on it. I like that blue chunk again when the sun really pops out and starts to warm up. I like to go to the blue, the bright blue chunk. So these are just some tips to help you when you're flipping and pitching a jig. I always flip my jigs on a 7.5 foot flipping stick. Anywhere between 17 and 22 pound test fluorocarbon line. These jigs here happen to be the jigs from Get the Net hooks. It's called the Stonewall Jig. It's a jig that I helped them put together. It had the cross eye in it. It's got the big 5-watt hook in it, and it's got a big round rubber weed guard, round rubber skirt. The living rubber skirt, which you can see, in all these jigs how it flares out. This is kind of what we're looking for in the water. So, like I said, we're going to show you a fish catch, and please like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it very much. Thank you all. Alright guys, here I am pitching a jig into a shallow tree here. You can see it went in right behind that limb. I'm working it. Alright, you see me bring it up over the limb. There, it's starting to fall. Fish bites. I set the hook. This is a pretty good fish here. We fight it around here to the boat here. You can see I'm trying to get my boat away from the shallow cover here. Gonna go back to the driver's seat and landing. And we're pulling him up here. We're getting him in our hands. Now we're coming up to the front deck of the boat. Like I said, I'm going to try to get off the cover here so I can keep on going down the bank. As you can see that jig here, that color of that jig was a black, blue, and purple one with a big black chunk on it. You can see the water's pretty heavily stained.